Hello and welcome back to SRB Gaming, Exploration KSP, Episode 4 today, and finally launching the first ground colony of the save. We're sending the Frontier ground base to Minmus. Now, the initial choosing of Minmus was because, obviously, lower gravity than the moon, that makes it easier to get resource supplies back to the surface, to the orbital stations, I mean. And it is slightly farther than the moon, but this also makes it more useful for interplanetary missions, although the surface base will not be doing much of that. The main purpose of the surface base will be to resupply the orbital station. As such, the base is named Frontier Ground to complement the Frontier Orbital Station. The base is equipped with lots of landing legs, a small efficient engine to land on the surface, a large ore holding tank, facilities for 2 Kerbals, which the permanent residents will be engineers to use the drills, a single mining drill, and some batteries and solar panels for both radiating heat and storing electricity. Also some backup fuel cells in case the panels are broken. The launcher consists of a mammoth engine on the bottom with a 3.75 meter core. This jettisons eventually once in orbit. Next is a large Rhino engine on the stage, which will push it all the way halfway through the landing trajectory on Minmus. Eventually that detaches and the rest of the trajectory is done with the Poodle. My orbital scanner was showing that the highest concentrations of resources would be in the mountains. However, I wanted to land this base on the flats because it was near one of my downed probes, the Osprey mining probe from the last episode. I did land that, and it was having issues due to lack of SAS, so a future version would include that, but the design failed. Due to its low SAS, it was unable to land in the mountains of high resource concentration because it would tip over, so I was forced to land in the flats, and the flats had little to no resources, at least in the spot I landed in. And not only that, due to a lack of extendable solar panels, the Osprey would explode if used the mining drill for significant amounts of time. So I did quick load and leave the probe there in case it is needed, but as that mission was a failure, and I will need to redesign the probe and send it back. The Frontier ground base ended up landing in the flats again, but it was very near the mountains, and I figured my overlay was showing there were resources there. And indeed, when I first landed, and you'll see at the end of this video, there were resources. Not that many, but it was enough to fill the tanks. I did encounter an overheating glitch where the drill reached 100% and wouldn't go down, which was an issue. It didn't explode, it just wouldn't go down. Today they released 1.0.1 and 1.0.2, 2 updates in one day. These are bug fix patches. 1.0.1 contained most of them, but among many other great tweaks was they fixed the overheating issue. However, they must have done something to resources as well, because now the Frontier ground base has absolutely 0 resources, so it will need to undergo a relocation. The advantage of landing in the flats is it's very easy to resupply, and I believe I have recordings of this, so this will be in a future video, but at the time of recording, I designed a very compact, very small Minmus lander called the MSL, Minmus Service Lander. Pretty basic name. It can carry 1 Kerbal to the surface of Minmus and then back to the station. I have landed it there and resupplied the station with another Kerbal, and brought the pilot who is flying the colony right now back to the Frontier Orbital Station. So it works very well. I do not remember if I recorded that. If I did, that will be the next episode. But that is a perfect resupply vehicle. It is easier to land in the flats. I was able to land within 200 meters, which was a pretty easy jog for the Kerbals. Minmus's low gravity means you can use jetpacks as well. And yeah, we've settled Minmus pretty well in this save. As of now, there's the Minsat-1 orbital scanner in Minmus. There is an abandoned lander from Jeb's Jeb's there and back Minmus mission. I didn't record that, but it was Apollo style, so carried the lander, and lander was in a fairing, and I flipped around and docked with it when we got in orbit, and then flew to Minmus and back in the command pod. Anyway, that lander is still in orbit. There's the MSL now, although you won't see that in the video. The MSL is still in orbit because instead of a docking port, I just got really close to the station and had the pilot hop out and fly to the station. There is the Frontier station, of course. And then there have been multiple CTVs in orbit, although not right now. I will be sending another one to pick up the pilot from the MSL eventually. I also tested a Sky Chaser CTV for docking, which just docking in low orbit to make sure it worked. It did work. Both of them were able to re-enter safely. In fact, the Sky Chaser actually almost, it landed without its parachutes, and it almost had the coming down was great, except I need to redesign it so that the gears are close. Landing gears are closer together. I mean farther apart, because it flipped, hit its wing, and blew up, and the cockpit survived, but it was basically a big pile of debris. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video with the first module of the Surface Minmus Frontier Ground Colony. And next video will either be a Minmus resupply or possibly interplanetary probe, as we are approaching a Duna transfer window. And I hope you enjoyed KSP Explorations. See you next time. Thanks for watching.